Good news, everybody. You're Pexin with the Legends. We are your hosts from the gamer editing team. My name is Eric, and this week I'm here to announce that this is now a Destiny 2 podcast. I didn't tell you guys. Surprise.
Snap.
I'm just kidding.
Are we going to cover 3 years of Destiny 2 content?
Yeah, we're going to start at the beginning.
My name is Whitney. You can call me Lumbago because I am your bae before apexing else. I don't know. That doesn't work.
I have no idea what you just said.
We're rolling with it. I'm Finn, Phin, otherwise known as Andrew. Yeah, and I'm still picking Wraith and leaving games before we even hit the ground.
This is week 5 of season 5. We have our 4th hunt available. We also want to talk about some leaks about what the rest of the season is going to look like. We haven't talked about leaks on the show before, so I just want to give a little bit of a spoiler warning and also just say, like, we will be talking about leaks. There isn't anything there isn't any topics that we're going to avoid unless it's extremely dubious. When it comes to like data mining and stuff, we're always gonna bring it up. So just be warned, we're still going to talk about the hunts and the story stuff, and we definitely won't leak that kind of stuff when it comes out, like story stuff. But when it comes to like new content and stuff, I think that's something we definitely want to talk about, right?
100%.
So what we have discovered this week through our data mine community is that the bunkers on Kings Canyon will be opening up.
Yeah, they better.
Yeah.
It's like Chekhov's gun. Like if you put it in there in Act 1, you have to open it up or use it by Act 3.
Right. Yeah, of course. So when Season 5 started, a number of bunkers across Kings Canyon appeared. One of them is accessible in kind of a weird way. If the dropship flies at a certain direction, you can soar underneath the broken coast and fly into the bunker. Then there's a button and you can zip line back out of the bunker. And if you're down there, there's always a guaranteed gold knockdown and I think a purple armor always. So we also have a whole bunch of different bunkers spread across the map, and the data mines suggest that 4 of them are going to get opened. And the way it's going to work, the phrasing of it was that it is a 1-week opening. There's a start of the open and an end of the open for 4 of these, so it's going to take 5 weeks for them to open. The way I interpreted that was that we would be opening them in the hunt. You would have a week to play that for everybody to play the hunt and open it narratively, and then in the following week, whichever bunker we opened in the hunt would be open in the game. I think that's not how it's explained in the data mine, but that's how it makes sense to me.
Yeah,
does that seem likely?
That to me seems intuitive. I would like for them to. But maybe I'm just a fanboy who wants like the hunt content to play into what happens on the map.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah, me too. Absolutely. I would love a strong narrative connection between the hunts and the actual game. So the way that I suspect it will work, and I think this makes the most sense, is that starting with next week's hunt, we will be going into one of the bunkers, and then the week after that, that bunker will open in Kings Canyon. Meanwhile, the next hunt will start and we'll open the next bunker, and it'll go like that from mid-June until mid-July, until we've got 4 bunkers opened.
I'm hoping they'll have Easter eggs in them too. Like, they've been teasing those Easter eggs. Like there's like the Wraith line of dialogue that you can get in labs, and I think that they ran a Loba Easter egg, like where everything was already stolen from the vault. I would love to see like a little tease like that. I think that would be super cool. So, if they haven't done it already, they need to write it in now because I said so.
Yeah. I'm not sure if this is part of the data mines or not, but I guess it's either assumed or it was actually said in the data mines that there are vaults just like in World's Edge in the bunkers, and that we'll need keys just like World's Edge to access them.
I did want to like point out that like a through line of this seems to be like this sort of underground theme, because first we have, us going into like everything is a dig. They're looking underground in the quests missions, right? And then there's also like when we saw what happened to Skulltown, it basically was, cracked the land, and then there was this big bunker underground, and it just fell into the water because all the scary robots were coming to take over the planet or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure that's not what happened. But so I kind of like the idea that they're rolling with this underground theme, and I wonder if that even presents more opportunities or questions. Like, is there going to be an entire map that ends up being underground at some point? Right? That would be crazy,
That would
but
be
I'm
really
into
crazy.
it.
I think it's essential that the vaults end up on Kings Canyon because it's part of Loba's kit. In the same way that part of Lifeline's kit is getting to open the extra shelves on the containers, right? Being able to steal from the vault is part of Loba's kit. So in a weird way, Loba sort of gets nerfed on Kings Canyon.
That's a really good and interesting point, actually. I hadn't even thought of that. But yeah, that definitely makes sense from a balance standpoint.
Yeah. So from, I realize that Loba isn't played competitive and things aren't necessarily always designed with competitive in mind, but Loba is not the same character on the two maps. And I think I think the rest of the characters essentially are.
Well, and there's certain areas of the map where stuff is kind of hidden away that you can't get to it in Kings Canyon already. The good example is that bunker that you can fly into. Like I've definitely, because Loba, you can still use her ult above ground and it'll grab that. So I've definitely been like, somebody's been pinging a skull piercer and was like, well, I guess I'll just drop this over by the bunker and see if it'll pick it up. And it did. That person was psyched. And then we won 100 games. No, I'm just kidding.
So
big facts.
So supposing that the vaults work the same way that they do on World's Edge, I wanted to ask you guys how will they handle vault keys? Because on World's Edge there are fixed places where you can go to get a key, right? You can always get one on Mirage's ship. Are there other static locations where there's keys?
Off the top of my head, that's the only one I can think of. I just know there's that one in the Disco Ball.
Yeah,
on the Mirage ship. But...
And then the rest of the drones can potentially drop them.
Right. And that is fairly randomized.
Right. So there are no drones in Kings Canyon. We have loot ticks, but loot ticks are... This may just be my perception, but loot ticks are rarer than the drones are in World's Edge. It seems to me like there's fewer.
Or they're certainly not as exposed if they are, so...
They're harder to find. Yeah.
Yeah. There's also flyers on Kings Canyon, so that they could pack them in there, because I feel like I find more flyers for sure than the ticks, but that's probably because flyers are always screeching. And I'm like, oh, let me just shoot that creature in the face and get its stuff.
Right. So that's an interesting point, because the flyers expose their items. The box has a color that matches the rarity. So if a flyer had a vault key, they would have a red box. And so you would be able to tell that there was a vault key there, which is something that you don't have on World's Edge. You don't ever know, except for Mirage.
No, you do.
Shit.
Oh, no, you do. Yeah, there's a red glow you can see coming out of the little cargo bot's ball.
Oh,
so you can
okay.
actually tell if there's but it's pretty subtle. Okay. So like a red box would definitely be a bigger giveaway. But at the same time, like usually if you know to look for the red light, you could tell even from a distance.
Right on. Okay, I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
that's cool. I think it would. I mean, it wouldn't make any sense, but it would be cool if the flyers that had the vault key were the like ghost ones from the hunt.
That actually would be awesome. I just like
I just want to see them. Yeah. Okay, and then I guess the other question is: should there be a permanent spot like Mirage's ship where you can get a vault key, and where would that be?
Ooh, where would I'm trying to think of a spot that's not frequented enough, but it's a crime that it's not frequented enough. Like behind the waterfall near slums. That's such a cool area, but there's not a lot of incentive to go over there.
Yeah,
so that would be kind of cool.
It's very out of the way. What about this? What if the center of Pit always had a key?
Oh my gosh, those fights would be nutty than they already are.
That could be interesting.
Because a lot of players already... I mean, Pit's kind of a variable, but oftentimes it wouldn't be surprising, if 3 teams decided to go, because that center of pit has that high probability for purple armor.
Right.
And also, like, that's a really challenging spot in a lot of ways because it's very heavily RNG based. And also, you can't really get away that easily like the other ones. Everybody has to land in that vicinity. So if you don't
It's
get
like
a
a
gun right away,
gladiator
you're
arena.
like bait. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Right. Yeah. So there are some fixed gear on Kings Canyon. There's Octane Takeover always has a purple armor. Well, no, actually sometimes it can be a gold weapon or something in the middle ring, right?
And a purple backpack. So it's got a
But it's
number of options, but it's always something good or
yeah, high
interesting.
tier, yeah.
Right. Sort of like how Bloodhound's thing in World's Edge, that there's like purples and golds in there, but it's not necessarily always the same thing. Yeah, that's interesting. We're expecting some kind of parity between the two maps for the way vaults work, but it's going to have its own Kings Canyon style to it.
Mhm.
They can't do it the exact same way.
Well,
Yeah, I'm expecting something new for sure. It would surprise me if it was like sort of a like a copy paste just over to Kings Canyon. It would be weird.
Yeah.
And that also kind of made me think of like Bloodhound too, because Bloodhound can see the flyers in their ulted state, right? If you've ever done the Beast of the Hunt, you can see the flyers basically everywhere. It's almost overwhelming because I always think they're people. I'm like, how do they get up there? Oh, wait a minute. But really, it took until later in World's Edge was season 3, so like later in season 4, right, when they did the Bloodhound area, where you could presumably use the Bloodhound ult in the sort of like the town takeover area that they created. By the way, that's also a place in World's Edge where they have like a consistent high tier stuff. You have to work for it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's really interesting that you're saying, okay, maybe the vaults are going to work similarly, but it's going to be slightly different somehow, because that's, like you said, is like a bonus for Bloodhound because they can see that in their ulted state. They can also see the beasts, although those beasts don't carry boxes. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's just a design choice too, because theoretically you would see anything that's heat or moving or blood or life or whatever, and so they have to be consistent there. I don't know if you see the Leviathans though in Bloodhound's ulted state. I don't know. I never thought about it.
Yeah, I don't think so. You're saying like they don't glow or anything?
Yeah.
No, I don't think they do.
Yeah, that would be overwhelming.
Yeah, very distracting.
They just feel like bright red, like yeah.
I think it's also worth. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, completely off topic, but in the vaults, I want a Nessie doll. I want more collectible Nessie stuff, because when you could see that thing outside of I think Swamp, it's kind of weird, but weird in a good way. I want another one of those things to appear. That's all I'm saying. The vaults better be my ticket to that.
Now we're totally off topic, but when during the Bloodhound event, wasn't there a way that you could get a trinket in game? You could go find it I seem to remember at one point there was like you could, during an event, you could go find a box in the game that had a trinket in it.
That was when Forge died. They had a memorial to Forge. It was actually very cool. You could loot his death box and get like a special emblem.
Yeah. It was like the TV set.
Yeah.
I remember that one for sure. I don't know about Bloodhound, but I may have just missed it.
Okay, yeah, it was the Forge one I was thinking of. Yeah, so that would be cool if there was trinkets to find if you make your way to all 4 of these vaults. I think it's also worth mentioning. I was going to say before that there are way more vaults than 4, but they're only going to open 4, which I think is consistent with the idea that each one. I'm sorry, I meant bunker. There's way more bunkers than 4, but they're only going to open 4. So I think that's consistent with the idea that there's going to be a vault in each one.
Mm-hmm.
How many vaults are in World's Edge?
That would be a good thing to count.
Well, in World's Edge, there's only the 3.
There's 3.
The one that's in Train Yard. There's the one that's sort
sorry.
of on the east side of the map, and there's one that's like on I want to say like, where is that last one? I can like see it in my brain, but it's in, like, the southern area.
I wasn't sure if there was 3 or 4, but okay.
On World's Edge?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's 3. There's one above Geyser, one sort of in the middle between Harvester and like like drill essentially. And then there's one towards the
that's
bottom near Lava City in those caves.
Right.
So those are the 3.
But we'll likely have 4 now on Kings Canyon.
On Kings Canyon, yeah.
Yeah, but maybe they'll just be spread out more because we know that I don't know which ones are going to open, obviously, but there's one in the very corner of Slums, so like the very corner of the map.
Yeah.
And then there is one next to the one that's actually open in the opposite corner of the map, down by Salvage. So I know I can't picture where all of them are, but I know that they are very spread out. So if it could even be just all 4 corners, maybe. I don't know.
There's a bunch too. I know there's some in the forestry, I guess, between artillery and towards Cage. There's at least one.
There's only slightly related, but there is one that also has a supply bin outside of it that is completely empty every single time.
Yeah.
We have to figure out what they're doing. Why is that an empty supply bin? What is happening there?
I used to think it was coincidental and that Lobo was looting stuff out of it. And then I realized it's always empty. And now I wish they would just commit to that. And when you open it, it just plays the "You Got Jebaited" song.
I think that is a confirmed bug. I can't say that for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's not a Easter egg. I'm pretty sure that's a problem with the loot table.
That's, I think.
Well, now they have to write it into the lore.
Yeah, now it's got to be.
I'm gonna be very upset.
Yeah,
they need to double down on it. That's what I'm saying.
I also think it would be really cool. This is the 4th week, so if we open one every week, that will leave one. The 9th hunt will be the last one, and I think it would be cool if the rest of the vaults opened either in the hunt or in the world for like a story reason. Like if we open one at a time and there's a vault in each bunker, and then for the last hunt they all open and like a new NPC character type comes out, like more prowlers or something come out of them.
I want something. I don't know what, but I hope they have something grand planned because I don't know. There needs to be a great finale to all this, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's talk about this week's hunt. This is the 4th, and it takes place in the slums. All the characters are playable except for Watson, Octane,
and Pathfinder.
I think that's right. Mm-hmm. And what did you guys think? Whitney?
It was very bouncy.
Yeah, it was very bouncy.
Yeah,
I had a good time. It was fun. It's again, I just want more. Like that's what, and maybe that's like what it is. These are just all little teaser things. But I think I was mentioning to you, just like I wish it were like as long as a Destiny strike. Like I would really enjoy that. Probably even replay it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Try to get a better time, or try to do it with different character or something like that.
The Octane jump pads everywhere. The bouncy house effect. While it was fun, it made me worried though. Throughout the entire thing, I was anxious. I was like, "Are we gonna find Octane? And is he going to be Watson?"
Right.
Because last time we saw Watson's fences around,
it was bad news.
We know how that ended.
Yeah.
So I was fearful for Octane, but he's still a big old question mark right now.
Yeah. Go ahead.
This isn't really related to the quest, but I just wanted to mention too, it's already been confirmed, and this is not a leak or anything, that they're revamping Octane in some way. And I saw all those jump pads and I was like, oh my gosh, are they going to make like the jump pad just refill automatic like every 2 seconds and you can just throw them everywhere?
Oh man, that's so interesting, Whitney. We're jumping ahead a little bit to the like plot stuff, but how cool would it be if there's a cat? Get out. How cool would it be
if
Octane's buff or his rework fit into the plot of what's happening?
Yeah.
Ooh.
That would be really cool.
Next level planning. I'd be so impressed.
So I like this week's hunt a lot. I think it's probably my favorite one. Last week I talked about how the Revenant, like the transformation was really cool, but it didn't feel like it fit in the zone they put us in. Like the buildings weren't tall enough. It wasn't as tight enough to make it sorry, this cat is very distracting.
They're very into Apex, okay?
Yeah. To make it feel like I could make the full use of those abilities to like climb fast and jump far, right? But this week, I feel like loading up the slums with all those jump pads made the perfect playground. And I found myself just trying to chain between the jump pads and jump pad onto zip lines and then back onto another jump pad. I had a ton of fun just like running around like crazy and hitting all those jump pads, and it inspired me. I felt like I would love some kind of limited time event where the whole map is all dense with jump pads like that. That would be
That's
so
actually
fun.
so true. That would be super fun.
Yeah.
I would love that. That's why I was asking about the objective while we were fighting, because I was jumping through the air trying to kill as many prowlers in one arc of a jump pad boost. And I was like, oh wait, we're in a mission.
Yeah.
Because Apex movement by itself is already fun. You add in a ton of jump pads and it's just way too.
Yeah.
It's a problem how fun it is.
Everybody dreams about hitting a jump pad and then getting a headshot from midair, you know?
For the
And-
Kraber.
Yeah, and so you get a little bit of that rush with this, even though you're just shooting prowlers. You know, you still get to hit a jump pad and take out enemies from the air. And it's like, even if you're not, we talked about this before, like even if you're not highly skilled, you can be really successful at the hunts. You know, and people that don't win a lot of Apex matches maybe can feel successful, feel like they're winning when they play these. And I think this is one of those. This one in particular makes you feel like maybe you're good at the game, makes you feel skilled. And that's what I appreciated about it. I also think that like last week with the Revenant mode with the running and jumping and climbing fast, that would have worked really great in slums.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that they saved it for the jump pads because that works too. But being able to climb buildings really fast and jump really far around in slums also, I think, would have been really fun. Maybe I just really like slums.
It's underrated.
There's always really
100%.
good loot there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they like knock it off the map like Skull Town, I'm gonna be a sad boy for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah. If they gentrify slums.
It's just
Look,
like
I
a bunch of
know-
high rises
Yeah.
and
I
like
know-
aristocrat NPCs.
I know I'm going back to this, but 100%, if they buff Octane and he can do a ton of jump pads in a really short amount of time, holy cow. I think that would make that character so much more playable and fun. I mean, there are other issues too. Like, I don't think the jump pad is really the biggest one with that character, but I still like the idea of like spamming jump pads the same way Mirage can now spam decoys and just being able to be like, all right, now I'm going to go any direction, and my enemies that are like coming up close to me are just going to bounce very far away.
Yeah, when you throw one, it just throws out in a flower, and then whenever you use it, they all explode. That would be cool. I want his jump pad to explode like a Gibraltar bombardment whenever you use it, so you can run from someone, and if they try and chase you, they just like get destroyed. I don't know, something cool like that would be.
It seems to me that as a deployable, it should be as tactical and not as alt, you know, because Caustic can throw out his gas cans. I feel like Octane should just throw out his jump pads, and maybe he can have hold 2 and they're on cooldown, and then he needs a stronger alt.
Mm-hmm.
And he can, I don't think the passive necessarily needs to change. But yeah, if the jump pads were as tactical and he had a stronger alt, I think that would be a pretty reasonable rework, at least something worth trying. Not that I'm designing characters in this game, but that's how I do it.
Yeah, it sounds smart. Anything to that doesn't involve completely overhauling them, just repurposing stuff to balance them better. I think that would be really smart.
Yeah, because he's still a great character. I don't want to lose the core of what Octane is, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about the story, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts first, because I'm last week and then this week I'm kind of starting to sour on it, and I don't want to be negative, but I got some problems. I'll be honest.
I can't wait to hear this.
But Whitney, please tell us what you thought about. Can you give a quick summary of what happened?
Yeah, the best that I can do is that Octane went through that portal, right? In the last one, we remember when that happened, and now we're sort of on this mission to find them, and to sort of explain the context of that is that he's besties or old friends is probably a better way to say it with AJ Che, who you may know as Lifeline. And she sort of commands like, Bangalore, you made him do well. That's not exactly right because at some point she turns around and she says, no, I was the one who made him do it. She feels like it's her fault that he decided to go through this portal zone. And she really wants to go rescue him, but she can't do that unless she she's getting. I know that she had to get some information from what's her name, Yoko, but
Right.
in order to do that, she had to introduce Yoko to Bangalore so that Bangalore could sign the autograph, which she didn't really want to do, but then she did it. So now we're sort of in this portal zone to rescue Octane, who we know is a world-class idiot anyway. So I'm just kidding. But yeah, and then we do the hunt, and then it doesn't really tell us what happens, but we're successful. Well, we were successful, but
Yeah. So where it ends up is Bangalore gets the information, finds out what Loba's trying to do, and is going to reveal it to the whole team. But just as she's about to do that, part of the team, and I'm not sure which members, it seemed like at least Lifeline and Gibraltar are going to break off and go save Octane. That's sort of where.
I forgot to add that context. Yeah, that piece of that.
Yeah, that's sort of where it ended. Did you like it?
I mean, for me, I've never felt more like neutral and complacent about it, which I think is an opinion in and of itself. It's just like, okay, that's honestly kind of how I feel about this week's story.
Yeah.
That nothing was really surprising. Nothing really gets me excited. I just feeling pretty static about it. So that was pretty much it. Because with some of the other ones, I kind of clicked back and I reread some dialogue and this and that. And this one kind of left me feeling like, all right, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess I just want to see how it's going. They gave us some decent development regarding characters doing this and that, but I don't know. I'm not like emotionally invested in anything right now, aside from sort of being interested in what Octane's been up to.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I kind of feel the same. I look back on those earlier chapters and how intrigued I was about what direction the story was going. This week, the central conflict of the story was, will Bangalore give Yoko an autograph? And I'm just like, okay, I guess. Yeah, I guess that's what's happening in this story, is that we're stuck on this Yoko wants an autograph. Like, as a plot resolution device, like, okay, Yoko has something. Bangalore needs it. How do we get what Yoko has and get it to Bangalore? And the plot resolution device is she really wants an autograph. And that is not very good to me.
Plot twist, that autograph ends up being a forgery for something, or she's signature that she signed off on something, and then it's going to be accidental Bangalore ruining the entire.
If that actually happens, I'm going to laugh really hard.
If that actually happens, I will apologize to Respawn. I will take back all of the judging. No, look, we said in the first chapter that it kind of felt like we were reading some. I don't know who said this. Maybe it was me. It was probably me. That it kind of felt like we were reading Apex fan fiction. and then I got on board, and then there were developments that were really interesting, and I wanted to see where it was going. But then when we're really focused in on something like getting an autograph from one of the legends.
Yeah, I thought that was a one-liner. I thought it was a one-liner and that was it.
I rolled my eyes when it was a one-liner. But yeah, I'm going to go kidnap her out of her apartment and bring her to Bangalore. And it's like, you give her that autograph so she'll give you what the intel. And it's like, that's, yeah. I don't want to be mean. I've made my point. So
no, it's 100% going to end up being the central theme throughout the rest of it. So no, I'm just kidding.
Like, yeah, every episode's just like, But who has
Spangler
that
having
autograph?
without autographs. Yeah.
So there is that, and then there's this. For the third week in a row, the playable legends in the mission don't make any sense.
I read one of them accidentally, although, but go through who they are, and then I'll explain why one of them in particular.
Okay, so the one that doesn't make sense is Revenant.
Okay, so that's the one I know.
Okay, so what was it? Was it a leak that you read?
No. It was it's Tom, I think Casilio is his last name, but he's one of the writers, and he said that there was a couple things that were cut from the story. So I don't know if that was one of them, but I do believe that he said that within the context of the lore, like the canon or whatever, Revenant already knows what's going on now, and so he's just tagging along. Just hanging out now.
Okay, so. But that didn't happen in the story.
Well, it's true too.
if it wasn't written and I can't read it, then it didn't happen. Like I respect the writer saying like, yeah, we had these intentions and actually it makes sense if you know, but that's not what happened in the game.
It's just like cutting out like a pivotal scene.
And also, why do you got to cut? It's just written, right? These aren't cutscenes. There's like. What did you have to scale back for time?
Yeah, but I'm sure someone at, I'm not even going to say where, but at a certain company was probably like, yeah, we should do this.
You think it was oversight?
Or maybe they did some demo testing and said that like, oh, people don't want to read for longer than 5 minutes. Some of them don't want to read for longer than 5 seconds. So
yeah, and these clearly aren't for those people. Like there's a very specific audience for these lore tabs, you know, like it is straight up just reading. It's not even voice acted. So
yeah, true.
But
I wanted more subtle stuff in the audio, like the Watson, heart monitor thing.
That was cool.
Like that.
Yeah,
the only thing I noticed this time was whenever they got back to Mirage's bar, there was a bit more background noise, but
there was some knocking on the door at the beginning.
At the very beginning. Yeah. I think it would go a surprisingly long way if they did a lot of that.
Yeah.
They were gonna have voice acting.
Wait, hear me out.
Okay.
They keep doing what they're doing, but they give you options in it like it is a dating simulator.
Ooh, choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
We always come back to the Apex dating sim.
Do you punch Revenant in the face or do you kiss him? And then all of a sudden we're in fan fiction again. So, it's a vicious cycle. The most interesting thing to me, though, was the part that we retrieved.
Oh,
I want to talk about
Tell us about it.
It's an optical scanner. Something to do with your peepers.
Yeah.
I wonder what that's all about.
Yeah, they mentioned that in the story, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? What's your theory?
Well, Hammond is the one that desires this thing a lot, right?
Right.
So my first thought, which to me seems a bit too easy, is it has something to do with uploading your consciousness. So something to do with like, Revenant bots. I don't know. And that's just part of it, the optical scanner, because I don't think it's just a simple, scan the eyes and then unlock this room. That doesn't make any sense, right? We're building it on its own. And plus there's all these processing units that we found before the optical part of it. So it's got to be some complicated thing that involves the person operating it, or I don't know. I don't have any cohesive thoughts aside from it's just interesting to me. And I wonder if it's going to keep playing into the whole, okay, there's an optical scanner and then there's like a fingerprint thing and then there's this and then there's that, or if that's the central element that the user interacts with it. I don't know.
Yeah. So cool. I know we've gone through it. It's slightly convoluted, but Loba has to retrieve this artifact and give it to Hammond so that Hammond will tell her where I forget what the word, where Revenant's
brain.
Yeah. I forgot what the word is, but nobody, not Loba, nobody knows what the artifact is for. Right.
Right.
So what would Hammond want? I know we've talked about this a little bit before, but with this added detail of this like optical scanner, What is there anything we could imagine that Hammond wants?
I'm not saying anything because I accidentally spoiled it for myself.
Oh
on Reddit.
no!
Don't check Reddit.
Oh,
But,
well, if you want to know right now, go check Reddit.
It was an accident though, like because the Apex lore tab they're really good about marking things as spoilers. So I just like went through and was reading a really fun theory, and then I read a spoiler.
Oh no!
Is it
Stupid commenters?
a
There's
spoiler?
a way to block out on Reddit what you're trying to say so that nobody sees it. So you have to click it. Like,
Yeah.
why didn't they do that? Anyway,
I
ran
already
over.
know what they're trying to do. They're trying to gentrify slums. Okay, let's be real.
That's what this all comes down to, isn't it? Isn't it?
So wait, you read a spoiler in that you found somebody who claimed that they knew via leak or they were an insider. How do you know it's
Yeah,
credible?
it was a data mine.
Oh, a data mine.
And they've teased the data mines before too. I mean, I guess like the reason that Forge existed, and for those of you who don't know, Forge was a legend that they sort of teased pre-Revenant as being the new legend, and then they basically did a little animation where they introduced this character and they just killed him off right away. And it was actually kind of an amazing plot twist because basically the data miners had discovered some level of information and they wanted to sort of throw him off the track, and that was like supposedly the whole reason they introduced this, although it's canon now, and in my dreams Forge comes back somehow.
You've mentioned this before.
Beforge.
Forge.
I did it. All right. I'll see you guys later.
Mute Andrew. Please mute Andrew.
So all that to say, you know, they found voice lines in the past that haven't been used, like all kinds of stuff. So data mine is never 100% accurate or correct.
For sure.
But I do try to avoid them because, especially for story stuff, because it's just more fun to put it together, you know?
For sure. Yeah. And
like it's definitely a fake if it said, oh yeah, Hammond's just trying to plant 1 million trees or whatever. Like that's how you know it's fake. Hammond's up to no good. Don't trust him.
Yeah. Yeah, don't trust the man. Yeah, well, we've got a long way to go, right? This is the 4th of 9, so we're just about halfway. And I guess we pretty much still all have the same questions. It's starting to look like the plot is just going to sort of, I almost said meander, but it's going to be a lot of like interpersonal stuff, like Octane goes missing, Watson goes down, stuff like that. And then probably like right at the end, we'll figure out what this thing is actually for. But it was nice that, as Andrew mentioned, that they seeded a little bit today of what this device could be used for. I don't have any good theories about this optical scanner. I really have no idea.
The one thing that I want to know is the why behind that. Like that's a question that's still really open, right? So, you know, certainly we want to know what it is, but what's the motive? What's driving them? Why is this so important that they got the best thief in all of the Outlands or whatever it is? They recruited them into the games in order to get this thing.
Right.
So that's a big question on my mind.
Well, considering what Hammond has been responsible for in the game, we have to imagine that this is a pretty big deal. Mm-hmm. That it's more, and I'm, you know, maybe I'm hyping myself up about it, but that it's more than just this MacGuffin to drive the story, that it's actually going to change something in the game. I think that's what we're all hoping for, but I think it also narratively makes sense because, you know, Hammond has the power to split a planet, you know? So if they really need this thing, it must be a big deal.
Yeah, exactly. Logically, it would be weird if it wasn't because they clearly they're an entity with a lot of resources. A lot. Look at the Planet Harvester. That thing ain't cheap, you know? So if they need somebody to do X, Y, and Z, like it must be for a big project that they themselves did not have the resources to do internally. Like,
well, we know that Wraith is the one that takes people to the other side. So what they needed was Wraith to get this thing, and it just so happened that Loba needed something too, right? So that's why they couldn't just do it themselves. I think that's what I am understanding.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's pretty much all I had for this week. I'm still having fun. I still like the hunts. I look forward to them every week. They haven't gotten stale, and I'm glad that they are continuing to change them up every week. I was not expecting Bouncy House this week, but I was
Bouncy House Legends.
yeah.
Well, and it kind of gives me hope too that they're going to be a little bit more creative as we go forward, right? Because I feel like maybe it was probably like just to test the waters early on, and just like everything else, just gets progressively more and more. Like I'm trying to like do like the sign, but yeah.
I wanted to ask before we wrap up, if you have any ideas for what they could do to keep changing it up. I had one.
Oh my gosh, I have one too. All right, you tell yours, and then mine is the best one ever, and I will sell it to you.
Okay. I don't know how this would make sense, but it would be really cool if we were in swamps and there was so many wraith portals and you have no idea where they're going to come out or go in.
Oh my gosh, we just had the same idea.
No way.
Yep.
And maybe you're like, maybe movement is slower, so it doesn't make sense to just like run point A to point B. You have to connect through the portals, and you're just bouncing portal to portal, trying to make your way to the objective. That would be kind of cool.
Like that one level in Titanfall 2 where the world sort of changes around you. So you have to keep going to these portals and then figure out the little puzzle on one side. And then you have to find the right portal to portal back into the other side to like sort of make it through the maze.
Yeah.
And that sounds crazy. So
Yeah. This all sounds cool and all. But imagine you're in swamps. The high ground is a bunch of shadow Gibraltars. And they're all mortar striking you. And you're just running. You're Octane. Gibraltar's the main villain. Gibraltar owns Hammond Robotics. You're running. Boom. Army of Revenants. You're surrounded. Gibraltar, Revenants. You have to jump off onto Nessie, the Leviathan. You sail away. And then the season ends.
You ride Nessie away?
You know what all this means?
Oh my God.
What you said just made me think of this. Is that there is another dimension where Gibraltar is probably a bad guy. And I don't like that. Because for me, he's
you
like
mean the dimension we live in? I hate that guy.
He's the best, like, fun, cool, like, chill, like, I want to be best friends with him in real life kind of character.
Yeah.
I cannot even imagine that there might be a dimension that he's, like, the evil one. You really, really spoiled my
oh, wow, you hurt her feelings.
Yeah, Respawn, if you need a writer, like a villainous writer, my DMs are open.
Hey, maybe we'll all get our wish, and the true villain is actually a Shadow Forge.
Ooh, he's back.
Wait, did I already tell you about my limited time mode idea? It's all Gibraltars running their Gibraltimates, and it's called Gibraltarnate Reality.
That's very good. That's very good. Yeah, 5 more weeks. I don't know how they're going to keep mixing it up, but that's, if anything, that's probably what I'm most excited to see. That and to actually figure out what this artifact is. Boy, I hope it's actually something. I sure hope it's something. What if we hand it over and they're like, "Thanks, Chief. Deuces." Yeah.
Well, it has to like be some like yeah. I mean, it must play some kind of role. And we're really interested in this place where we're in a battle royale, and there are only so many variables that we can sort of use in game. So if we like create this thing, it's either got to be something like just a piece that is entirely separate from the game, which I don't think really makes any sense, right?
Yeah.
Like outside of the battle royale. Okay, cool. It's like a cool statue or something. Great. Like, okay, now it has to have some purpose, right? And the other thing is that we're building something that exists within the game, right? Like
right.
In the sort of like a usable. Is it a new weapon or something like that, right? So that's kind of where your mind can go.
If I'm gonna temper my expectations, at the very top, it's the machine is a portal to a new map, and then the next one is the machine a new legend comes out of the machine. I guess it's still a portal. I guess most of my ideas are it's a portal. And then like below that is like it's some kind of significant map change. This turns into a big drill, and then they mess up Kings Canyon. And then I guess below that is that it's actually nothing, which seems the most likely.
Yeah, I like your basic idea of this will lead to us getting a new legend. I think that is the tippy top of what we could hope for.
Right.
But yeah, but I mean, and like they've definitely pulled surprises on us in a lot of different ways. I mean, that's I think one of the reasons why we love the nature of this game is that like you know, we didn't really know who the person at the end of the Revenant reveal trailer was. Um like we wouldn't have known that if we didn't know about all the leaks, right? The Forge thing was totally out of left field. The map thing, I mean, I think some people knew about it, but I was completely clueless. I just like, you know, read the patch notes one day and it's like, holy cow, there's a new map.
Yeah.
So I do think that the writers are talented enough that they're not trying to let us down. They're not setting us up for it to be just some extraneous, like a cool picture on the wall.
I
Like
think so.
something's gonna be related to it, right?
I mean, even going back to Crypto had such a great lead up with the tower falling and all the Leviathans storming the map.
Mhm.
Like that was all part of Crypto's story, right? So,
Yeah, it was
so
awesome.
this is a big story that's taking the entire season to tell. And if it all becomes an origin story for a new legend, I think that would be chef's kiss, delicious.
And I think it's worth mentioning too that I believe that both the art director and the head writer both got promotion. No, I'm sorry, art director is the wrong word. Animator. I think he's the lead animator. Both got promotions. So something good is happening. They're really excited about something. Their teams are probably going to get bigger. So I mean, we're on what season 5?
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see what the next even year or so brings. 3 years, like Destiny. Oh, see, I brought
3 more years. Destiny
3 more
podcast. Cool.
My last thought is
Yeah.
I want the legend that they're bringing in from this device to be Immortal. For those of you who don't know who Immortal is, there's your homework assignment. Very, very old leak legend with very cool abilities regarding nanobots.
You know what?
I'll leave you there.
That's a really good idea, man. We should dig up. Remember when there was a whole list of like 8 or 9 legends? We should go through those again. I think that'd be really interesting.
My first article on the site.
Oh, really?
All right. Next week, we're going to talk about the old leaks for legends. We're also going to talk about the new hunt where we'll open our first bunker. And if there's any leaks and anything else, is there ALGS coming up?
ALGS, yes. Quick update on the competitive scene. So the online tournament 6 wrapped up a while back, and now the summer circuit is beginning in a week and a half. So June 20th, Saturday after this coming Saturday, is when the summer circuit tournament series begins. Keep an eye out for that because the competitive scene has only gotten more better.
Oh, it's so much fun to watch. I can't remember if I said this.
I love it.
I can't remember if I said this during our interview with Daz last week. By the way, if you didn't listen to last week's show, we did an interview with a pro Apex player, Daz, and it was so awesome. So check that out if you missed it. But I don't remember if I mentioned this to him, but when they recently added the map where you can see all of the players where they are on the map, and as the ring closes, how people move in. I love watching pro Apex right now because it's so easy to track what's going on and follow the plot, follow the narrative of each match. It's like, it's really exciting to watch Apex right now. I'm really into it.
Completely agreed. It's awesome.
Yeah. Cool. Let's get our plugs out real quick. Whitney.
Find me on Twitch. It's Lumbago. There was no E, but I liked the idea. It was Bay before anyone else, right? So it was Lumbago, but then I had to use a 3. So Lumbago with a 3, I guess.
The original Bay.
Finn TTV on Twitch. PHINTTV. Catch me there.
Yeah, and I stream on Facebook on the Gamer website's Facebook gaming page. So thanks for tuning in, and until next week, see you then.